Well, hello there. You're listening to the Sort Yourself Out podcast. Today, I'm joined by Tony Copeland-Parker, and we're talking about how to boost your brain health and mental health. I'm your host, Janine Hunt, natural health therapist for over 30 years, hypnotherapist, lifelong learner, and student of the Ageless Wisdom. Here on the Sort Yourself Out podcast and in my Better Than Happy Zone membership, I teach powerful top-down techniques and practices so that you can master your mind and emotions, free yourself of what's holding you back, expand your consciousness, and nourish your soul. So let's get started. Well, hello there, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today, I'm talking to Tony Copeland-Parker, and we're discussing how we can boost our brain health and our mental health and the role that physical fitness plays in those. Tony was a professional pilot and manager for 37 years, the last 27 with United Parcel Service. In his last job, he was managing pilots and flying all over the world. When he and his partner, Catherine, both had health difficulties in their 50s, they decided to sell their home, retire from their jobs, and become nomads, running marathons and half marathons all over the world. Since then, he and his partner, Catherine, have traveled to 82 different countries and have run at least a half marathon in 35 countries on all 7 continents. Wow. And in Tony's new book, Running All Over the World, Our Race Against Early Onset Alzheimer's, he tells their story. I'm going to let Tony tell us all about this himself. So let's jump right in to my conversation with Tony Copeland-Parker. Hi, Tony. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I really enjoyed being here with you today.
Well, it's
me in Connecticut and you all the way over there in France.
That's right. Yeah. And as we were talking about earlier, you certainly have been getting around. I've kind of just been staying here, staying put. But I mentioned a little bit about your life and about you and your situation with Catherine in my intro. But I really wanted to let you to tell us yourself about your story and about how and why you and Catherine became nomads traveling all over the world.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to your folks about that. It was one of those situations where you're going through life and everything is fine, peachy keen, and you're looking at that time, I was around 58 and Catherine was in her early 50s, and we were thinking about retirement and savings and things of this nature. And at the same time, I ended up having to have open heart surgery to replace a leaky aortic valve. And right about the same time, and this was in 2014, Catherine was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. Of course, I came through the operation fine. 3 months later, I did another marathon. As Catherine and I are endurance athletes, we run marathons and half marathons. So we were looking at life a little bit different from the aspect of her diagnosis and me recovering from my open heart surgery. We had some races on our schedule and we looked at what we were going to do. We decided to take a counterintuitive look at how to handle the disease of Alzheimer's. Typically, you're told by your doctors, there's nothing we can do. Here's a couple of drugs to take, and I'll see you in 6 months or a year or 4 months. So with that piece of information, I decided that the best thing for us to do was to combine 2 things that we were passionate about. One was running, and the other ones, we both love to travel. I was a commercial pilot for 37 years, and I traveled all over the world as a pilot. So we had some races on the schedule. We packed up our stuff, we sold our home, and thinking that we were going to find some place to live, we started this nomadic lifestyle, moving from place to place every 3 to 4 days. It's now 7 years later. We haven't found any place to live. We're like the Goldilocks and the three bears looking for the right porridge. And as we go from place to place, we find something wrong with it. It's too hot, it's too cold, it's just not right. And we also have something else to look forward to, another race and another destination. So we just keep going.
Wow, that's incredible. So why did you take such a drastic approach to your and Catherine's individual health issues?
Well, what I did was immediately started researching Alzheimer's. I wanted to get to know as much as I could about it. My mother, she lived until 89. She died from cancer, but she was starting to have some of those dementia type moments. She was in a assisted living facility, and I was able to see those individuals there and the activities they had for them and the things they would try to do to keep those folks going. Her dad actually died from vascular dementia. That's a type of dementia that's usually brought on by mini strokes over time, bad health, bad diet, that type of thing. So I looked at it and I said, well, exercise is really good. Seeing new things is really good. Uh, Meeting new people and socializing is really good. So I said, her sitting around the house, me continuing to go to work, come back every day and say, how did your day go? She doesn't remember. All she's done is walked around looking for her keys or a pencil or whatever. And I said, that's not how I want us to live, however long we have. So I took this approach. I wanted to be 24/7 us together so I could see the nuances of the disease and be able to compensate on a regular basis. And I thought that we keep up our exercise, we get to see the Eiffel Tower and the Great Wall of China, and I can go on and on. The botanical gardens that we would see in different cities and countries, those things would go into long-term memory. At first, the long-term memory is not affected. So if she's having a problem or becomes somewhat frustrated, we can reminisce about what we just saw that day, what we just did that day. That would give her some satisfaction. Setting goals for ourselves, we run a race, we get a medal, we accomplish our goal. That's also going to help her in terms of her mental attitude. And so I said, sounds like a good plan. We'll see how it works. And from day to day, it's been working great for us. It doesn't work for everybody. I'm not suggesting everybody go out and try to run a race on all 7 continents, but I do suggest that people go out and whatever they're passionate about, try to do it together. It's not financially easy for anybody both to give up their careers, but if you can, try to do that, which sets up, you really need to prepare for your planning for retirement. Don't just let it happen to you. You need to, start as soon as you can to set up for retirement. So for us, we have planned on retiring around that time, maybe another year or two that we were going to continue working. So it wasn't that drastic of a change. And then, find your passion, follow that. For example, I was talking to an individual the other day, and they love operas, operatic music. So go ahead and make sure that you have your house filled with it. Some playbills that you can to review and go over, and also maybe go and find some operas in your city, town, state, your neck of the woods, and maybe go out and travel some to do some see some operas in other places, things of that nature. So put all that together, and that's what we did, and that's where we are.
That's a really great approach as well. You're really handling it holistically, aren't you? You're
Yes,
looking at ways to keep the memory refreshed and to physically keep the blood flowing and feeding the brain. You're
right.
handling it from all different aspects, and that must be an amazing thing to just be constantly having these new experiences combined with the familiar in a way, because you guys are used to
Right.
running
It's not,
and doing the marathons. That's quite a radical approach, but I like it.
yes, it is. What it does tap into is everyone has a reserve or a resolve for something that they are able to do. So for Catherine, it's running. That's something that she doesn't really have to think about. Her body movement, the brain body connection is right there. So we try to tap into that because it helps for her coordination. It helps for her to exercise her brain by doing the running and the walking and things of this nature. So you need to really be able to tap into whatever they are really good at before the disease hit and continue with that train of thought, while they have the disease, because that'll help out a whole lot. As opposed to, the other thing, like you said, you have to go holistic because they're going to give you one or two pills and that's it. The unfortunately clinical trials in that area, they've only really bear fruit on a couple of different things to do to help folks with Alzheimer's. They
Yeah,
haven't found a cure as of yet.
yeah, yeah. Your approach is definitely a way forward, I would think. Difficult for a lot of people to do because, like you say, you're together 24/7 pretty much. And that's one of the main difficulties, I think, having with people with dementia and Alzheimer's is not being able really to leave them on their own. My mother-in-law has severe vascular dementia. My dad had dementia. There just comes a time where it's very difficult for them to live independently. They need to
Right,
have someone with them. And so your lifestyle that you've chosen is allowing you to be together and
right.
doing something you love and looking after each other. I think that's really lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that approach that you've chosen, have you got any other ways you'd like to tell us about the benefits that you've felt from looking after things in that manner?
Well, of course, one that's quite obvious is that with that closeness together, I'm able to see the slight nuances and changes, and then I'm able to compensate for them on a regular basis, as opposed to a drastic change that might happen from me not seeing it during the day, and then having to compensate in a more drastic way for it. It also, one of the things that someone explained to me, because I did not see it myself, was that as a couple, yes, this is beneficial to Catherine, but also it's beneficial to me. And you have to think of, you have to think of both folks. I don't usually think about myself in that terms of I'm always trying to do what's right for her. But in actuality, I love to travel. I love to run. I love to plan and manage, and I love to put those puzzle pieces together on where we're going to stay and what flights we're going to catch and all that. So it's helping me a whole lot, because what ends up happening is my quality of life is so much better. Instead of me going, oh, she didn't do this, or oh, this happened, I can look back, okay, that's fine. Where are we going next? And then I brighten up and I have something to look forward to. So my day is better, which in turn makes her day better, because of course they actually do have ability to sense other people's emotions at a heightened level, if you
Mm,
understand what I'm saying,
yeah.
because of the fact of, some of the things they can't do. But that part, I can look at her and she can pick up just by my expression, without me saying anything, how I'm feeling. So if I'm feeling better, then my expressions are better. And then she's feeling, better about, what's going on. So that helps out a whole lot.
Yeah, that's so true. So you get to use all of your skills that you enjoy using as well. Both of you are are really benefiting. And your lives would look so much different, wouldn't they, if you hadn't decided to travel? Like
Oh,
you could be
yes.
sat at home getting frustrated with each other and,
Oh, my goodness. I can't.
totally different scenario.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I wouldn't trade this for the world. I, I don't know. Nobody knows. We took a path down the left road and other people take a path down the right road. We don't know, who's going to last on that path longer or how the quality is going to be on either path. But at the same time, I know what we have done and what we've accomplished and what we have enjoyed. So I'm not really interested in the right path or any other path. I just want to continue going. And what we do is we always have goals set for ourselves. We did, she was able to get 50 marathons in all 50 states
Wow.
done. So that's quite an accomplishment, a full marathon in all 50 states, United States. We've done at least a half marathon on all 7 continents. We have what is known as the major marathons all accomplished, 3 in Europe and 3 in the United States, all accomplished. We're now working on getting a half marathon done in all 50 states, and then we'll move on to the next goal until we can't go anymore. But one of the things that I was telling somebody just the other day is that you have to keep moving, because the brain body connection there, it as you move down this path of Alzheimer's, when you can no longer move, then you have limited yourself to things that you're able to do in terms of offsetting for example, if they start fidgeting, or if they start twisting their fingers, or if they become incontinent and things of that nature, then you have something else that you can keep them doing. But once they become immobile, then you're done. You're as you're basically just watching the clock go.
Yeah. And you guys have chosen the path that's right for you. Like, look at the
Right,
amazing times you're having, eh? It's
right,
you're really making it work for you, what is a very difficult situation where lots of other people would have pretty much closed up and lived in fear from that
right.
point onwards. You guys have literally run with it.
Well, there's another little part to this that I have not done any clinical trials or any studies on. I've listened to, I've read, everything there is about Alzheimer's and all, but they always talk about exercising your brain. They say, you need to do puzzles, you need to do a Sudoku, brain training and all this, or learn a new language or things of this nature to try to keep your brain, engaged as long as possible. So we're not big into games, sitting down and for us to do a crossword puzzle, we've never done one in our lives. So that's not something we would do. But for me, what I do is I continually move her cheese around. So she's like, okay, so exactly where are we? Okay, exactly where is the bathroom? Exactly where is this? Okay, where, what are we having? We're going to restaurants, we're having to interact, we're having to get on airplanes, we're having to do all this that is exercising her brain on a regular basis. So for us, this is our way of exercising her brain by us continually moving from place to place.
Yeah. So looking back on all of these years, 7 years now as nomads, is there anything that you think you should have done differently with the benefit of hindsight?
Only one point that I always joke about, which is the fact that over time, we found that we don't need as much as we have been carrying around. We started off with 3 suitcases, 2 backpacks, and all this stuff. And then, after about a year, you're looking at, I've never used this, whatever it is in the suitcase. So I often joke that, you'll find that you don't need as much as you think you do when you travel. And so now we're basically down to 1 suitcase and 2 carry-ons, and we that's all we need. And we figure if we find out that we actually need that one thing that we've been carrying around for months while we're in Berlin, then we just go to the store and buy it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I remember that I like to travel light as well. So when I go to Canada or we go on holiday, I like to just travel with carry-on luggage.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's usually quite limited what you can take. And I still find that even though I've really pared it down, when I'm away, I still end up just having about 50% of the stuff I don't even go near.
Right,
So
right.
even with that kind of limitation, a lot of the stuff just doesn't get used. You're really right,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we really can travel way
yeah.
lighter than we think we can.
Yeah, we used to have six different outfits to run in. Okay, well, one's in the tub being washed, and the other one we have on. So why do we need six?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
funny,
those
isn't
are the type of things, yeah,
it?
it's the type of things that you find out. But yeah, that's the only thing. It's just kind of you don't need as much as you think you do. Which
Yeah.
brings to another point I did want to talk about, which is that our nomadic lifestyle has pared us down in terms of being real minimalist in terms of what we carry and what we have. And the benefit of that is I don't have to figure out when we're going from place to place what is ours and what's not ours and what we need to take and what we don't need to take. And also limits her in terms of trying to find something, because what happens is Alzheimer's progress. The individual wants to find a certain item. They can't find that item. They find something else. Then that leads their mind looking for something else. And you'll see individuals that are left at home alone will just move from place to place to place all day long looking for something.
Mm.
I want a hammer. They go get the hammer and they can't find the hammer. They see a screwdriver and they think, oh, yeah, I need to do this. And then they, oh, well, I need some nails. Okay, where are the nails? And then they go find the nails. And what do I need nails for? So they just kind of go on this little rat trail around. And I've taken it off because I've minimalized what we have. So, and also I know exactly where it is. So she says, I need this. I know exactly where it is. I can give it to her and then we're done with that.
Yeah, it's a real
So,
process of simplification for you. So
right,
you're literally traveling lighter with fewer bags and
right,
such, but you're mentally lighter.
right, right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and making life easier in a lot of different ways by that one decision.
Right, right.
Yeah. So you have said that it's never too late to start fighting Alzheimer's disease. Do you have any more tips you'd like to share with us for keeping ourselves in good mental health and for keeping our brains healthy?
Yes, I would. In that, I talked some about, doing the puzzles, the crossword puzzles, and in terms of trying to keep your brain engaged. There's a whole discussion about learning a new language. They talk about early on, if you're very literary, then to use that part of your brain to help you to try to learn a new language, take online courses. There's a lot of online courses that, if you're interested in a subject matter that was a strong suit for you, delve into that on a more regular basis. The main points that we have is social engagement. That one is the tendency is for the individual of Alzheimer's, since they're going to start having difficulty talking, is to withdraw. So by me being there and us always being in a social environment with other folks, then that can help her work on the formation of other words that she wants to say, and also keeps her from, and also individuals from being shy about talking. And I don't want to go out, I don't want to go to dinner, but we keep this going because that's our lifestyle. We're on cruise ships, we're going to be having dinner with others, we're going to be on tours with other people, we're going to be, so I'm kind of forcing her to stay socially engaged. And then I talk about in the book, and also our lifestyle is for, I'm dedicated to her support, as opposed to I didn't continue going to work, leaving her at home to fend for herself. That's a big point, I believe, to help out a whole lot, is to be there. And then you see the little, like I said, the little nuances and changes on a regular basis, and then you can compensate for it, as opposed to you come home and the house is all tore up. They've gone through the house and they've, been looking for the nail or the screwdriver, and they've tore the house completely up by trying to find that item. And then you've been to work all day, and now you got to come home and deal with that. Or they've left the pot on the stove, or they've, caught a rag on fire or whatever. So that part, having new experiences, I talked about how those go into the long-term memory. And then they cut down on the frustration an individual might have from not being able to do certain things. Our exercise routine is we try to do some form of exercise on a regular basis. I mean regular in terms of just about every day. The only time we don't exercise is on a travel day, and even then we'll get 10,000 steps in easy by getting there early and walking the terminal. We just walk. We walk, to the gates. We walk back and forth. We get our exercises. As soon as we get to the new city, we drop our bags off. We go for a walk. Botanical gardens are a big thing. Go find your local flower shop. Go find your local garden and walk amongst nature, and the different flowers, the different smells, the different colors is really helpful for folks with Alzheimer's. Exercise ties in with sleep. Sleep is like the most important thing that you can do, is make sure that they have the opportunity and encourage and do what's necessary to get 8 to 9 hours of sleep, because during that, the brain washes out some of the tau tangles that have built up over the day. Exercise also does that. It helps with the inflammation, and it helps with getting rid of some of those proteins. And so you're doing the exercise, you're pooped, you get in bed, you're able to get the sleep done because of the fact that you've worn yourself out. And exercise actually needs to be pretty intensive. It can't be, you're just going out for a walk down the block to get the mail.
Yeah. I want to throw my 2 cents worth in on something as well related to that. And I talk a lot about how energy follows thought. And so I just want to say that if you are doing things thinking, okay, I'm going to keep my brain healthy, and don't do it with a focus of, because I don't want to get dementia or Alzheimer's. Keep yourself focused on, because just, I want to be healthy. Don't throw in that sort of negative focus about the fear aspect of what might happen. We don't want to be creating things in our lives based on focusing on them so much that we're drawing them to ourselves. I know my mother-in-law, she did crosswords every day, but she did it with a focus of, oh, I'm so worried, I don't want to get dementia, and I'm doing these crosswords because I don't want to get dementia. And I just, I'm not saying that is what caused her dementia by any means. There are lots of other factors involved, but I just want to put that out there to keep it a positive focus about what you're doing that for, just to be healthy rather than against ill health.
Yeah,
That's not.
Don't think about that item in terms of the negativity part of it. They had a study that said that people that think about, worry about, I'm going to have a heart attack, those folks are more prone to have heart attacks. For people that are doing these things just because they want to stay healthy. Yes. Absolutely.
So keep it a positive focus. So I mentioned in my intro that you wrote a book called Running All Over the World, Our Race Against Early Onset Alzheimer's. So tell us more about that. Why were you inspired to write the book?
Well, there's a couple of reasons why I wrote the book. One, I wanted to keep track of chronologically as to where we were, what we did, and to be able to let our children know our adult children know where we are, so we would go away for 30 days or 45 days on a trip, and then I would write about it, and then I would post it to a blog that I still write to, which is runningwithcat.com. And they were able to go on and say, oh, this is what dad did, or they're able to read it to their grandkids and have that. Also, I wanted something for us. I wanted to have something that Catherine and I could reminisce on, and could, look at the pictures, and I could read to her about it, or early on she could read about it and look at the pictures of where we've been, and then keep those thoughts and those memories alive. I wanted to inspire and to give people another way to look at life, motivate folks to, when they get the disease and they look at it and they don't say, oh, okay, this is a death sentence, I'm just going to sit here in my chair and wait for the time to come, whether it's 2, 5, 10, 15 years, whatever the outcome is for them, but to turn it around and say, okay, I want to trade the challenge of the disease for the challenge of what I'm going to do today. So for us, it was a challenge of going to go run a marathon. That's a task. Well, while you're trying to do that, you're forgetting about, what your day-to-day problem is, whatever that might be. And I'm not just talking about dementia and Alzheimer's. I'm just talking about how people approach life in general when we're given the curveball of life, and they're told something that's not going to be perfect for them. And then I kind of came at this as reversed engineered this. I listened to a lot of books on tape. You call them audible books, or things of this nature. I listened to stories about Alzheimer's. I listened to things about running. I listened to a whole lot how we're out running and walking. I'm in the airplane. So I had the thought it would be fabulous for Catherine and I to be listening to someone to tell our story. And but of course, for that to happen, you have to actually write a book. So I set out. It turned out that we were in St. Kitts when COVID hit, and we were supposed to be there for 2 weeks, and we ended up being stuck there for a month. They closed down the borders. They wouldn't let any airplanes in and out of there on the island. So I said, well, this must be the time that I'm meant to get this done. So what I did was I took all the blog postings and I put them together, and then I sat there for about a month and edited it down. Then I found a professional editor, and then he edited it. I found a publisher, and they published it. And then I found the last piece was I found a gentleman who did the audio book, who's got my character, he's got my sense of humor. And we were driving down the road just the other day, going to the Richmond airport, and we were listening to chapter whatever, and she's over there smiling and laughing, and it meant a whole lot to me to be able to do that for her.
That's beautiful. It's a real love story. Everything that you've been telling us, it's not just the book, it's your whole lives together and the way you're managing things. Very beautiful.
Thank you.
So getting back to your book, I believe that you have a freebie to offer our listeners. So why don't you tell us what that is, and also where people can find you online?
I mentioned Running with Cat, that's CAT. That's my pet name for Catherine. That's my life partner there. She's the one that was afflicted, unfortunately, at the age of 53 with Alzheimer's. We've been at this for 7 years. We were able to go to the Kentucky Derby on her 60th birthday, which was something she always wanted to be able to do. And I still write to it. We just came back from Berlin and Scotland. We did a 2-week trip over there, and it was quite a struggle for me to take someone with Alzheimer's overseas. I talked to her doctor prior to that. They gave me some tips as to what to expect and what to look for. We've been overseas many times, but not as advanced as she has been now. And they gave us little cards to hand to the flight attendants to let them know my partner has Alzheimer's, and they were, bent over backwards in terms of being accommodative for us. The book is available anywhere and everywhere. You're probably not going to be able to walk into a bookstore, however, with this, the way that the technology is today. But you go to Amazon, you'll be able to get a hard copy or soft copy. You'll be able to get the audio book, ebook on it. You can go to Barnes and Noble for the same thing. You can go to iTunes and get the audible book on it. And the freebie that I'm offering is if you go to runningwithcat.com and you go up to the top right and hit the icon up there and take you to the connect portion of the website, then you would be able to send in your contact information, and the first 5 people that connect with me, I will send them a free download of the audio book, and they can listen to. I had some folks that just the other day who told me they were out for a run, and they turned it on and they were listening to another gentleman said he likes to go for long walks, so he went for an hour-long walk. I have it's 44 chapters, 400 pages. It's 12 hours of listening. It takes you all over the world. It really does. And I go into details about, we're dropped off in Venice and our experiences of Venice and on different cruise ships and different races that we run. So it's not just for a runner, it's not just for a traveler, it's not just for someone that has Alzheimer's. You kind of look at it and it can be for anybody and everybody. So I have it out there available for anybody to be able to buy. And also, if you're such interested, and I've had individuals do this, you go to our website and the first page that comes up, you have the ability to click on, it'll take you straight to Amazon, or you can click on and you could say, hey, I would like to have a hard copy book autographed by me and Catherine. I'm not going to reveal how she autographs her book, but I'll just say it's somewhat interesting. And when I come through Atlanta, I get the email saying that you've selected a soft copy. I have some there. I'll autograph them. I'll put them in the mail to you, and I'll send it off. And especially if what I do, if it's somebody I don't know, I usually send them an email and ask them, if you would like to have it dedicated to an individual that you might, your loved one or a friend of yours or somebody who's struggling as a caregiver or with a disease. I'll make a personal note. So you're able to do that. So that's all I have on that.
Well, that's fantastic. Thanks very much. I'm really looking forward to hearing that myself. I'm a big lover of audiobooks like you.
Yes.
So
I will be sending you one. Absolutely.
Great. To me, I love the idea of a good long audiobook, and I especially love hearing about people's life stories. So I think this is going to be great. And thanks so much for offering that to our listeners. I'll put a link to that in the show notes, of course, so that people can find it.
And it's broken down, you can, 12 minutes, you can listen to us being in Madagascar and you can say, okay, that was cool. And you go on about your day and do something else and then come back to it at a different time. I have some notable quotes in there. And then also what to do is the quote will generate the chapter, and so it'll kind of all tie together as to what I was thinking when I was writing, because basically I was writing it while we're out on the road. Each one of those chapters was written while we were there. One of them I did wait until I got back to write, and I have a look at my thought process while I was doing it that way, as opposed to making notes as to where we were. I was trying to just remember and use pictures to come up with the verbiage for the chapter. So it's kind of interesting.
Nice. Well, I've really enjoyed our conversation today, Tony, and I'm so grateful to you for coming on and sharing your amazing story with us. It's I hope all continues to go well for you. Where are you off to next then?
Well, we like I said, we did a 2 weeks over in Europe, and we got back, and not worse for wear. We're in Connecticut right now visiting my sister, and we're headed back to Atlanta for an overnight. A reason why we're staying in Atlanta for an overnight is because it's just, we have to catch a van to the airport and then the flight, and it's just too long a day. Our destination is actually Louisville, Kentucky, and for Catherine has family there, and then up to Bloomington, Indiana. That's where her daughter is and her grandkids live. So we're going to be up there for a few days. Then we come back through Louisville and then back to Atlanta for overnight. And then we go on to the West Coast swing, as I call it. We have some friends out there. My oldest son lives out there. I have a doctor's appointment to go to in Seattle. And then we're going to be finishing up that swing in the Albuquerque, Farmington, New Mexico area. And we're going to do a half marathon there. That will be state number 41, and our goal to get a half marathon in all 50 states. And we'll be doing that. And then I've got plans through the Thanksgiving. I don't know what we're going to be doing after that. I'll work on that a little bit later on. We do not like the cold, so we'll try to figure out someplace warm to be. We like to go to the Caribbean, but they're still having a little bit of a problem allowing folks back on their shores. They have what is known as a bubble. So like if you go there, then you can only go to certain places. You can only go on tours. So everybody is, pretty much self-quarantine within that bubble. So I'm not really, I like to hit the street, look out to the left and say, well, go left today or go right today. So being kind of restricted that way, I'm not all that interested. So
I've heard that Mexico is good. You should be able to go
Yeah,
there and be
yes,
pretty
we did go to
spontaneous and get
Mexico.
some warmth.
Yeah, we did go to Mexico last year. Aruba also is really good there. They have a real good plan there and they do a good job. So yeah, we went there also.
Yeah. Well, I wish you well with all of your travels, and give my love to Kat. She's not here talking with us today, but I hope you have a wonderful time going forward, and I look forward to keeping up to date with all of your travels. So thanks so much for joining me. You guys are really an inspiration.
Well, that's why I inspire till I expire. So that's my
That's
hope.
nice. I like
Thank
that. Okay, Tony, thanks very much.
You're quite welcome.
So there it is, my friend. I hope you've enjoyed my conversation with Tony Copeland-Parker. What an inspirational story and an amazing couple. So once again, you can find Tony Copeland-Parker online at runningwithkat.com, and I'll put the link in the show notes. And if you're up for some more inspiration and ready to sort yourself out, don't forget to check out my Better Than Happy membership that is chock full of trainings, techniques, and practices to take your well-being to the next level. Have a look at betterthanhappyzone.com. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now. Thanks so much for listening and for sharing this podcast and for subscribing and leaving me a lovely 5-star review on iTunes. Those things really help to get the podcast out there so that it can serve more people. If you have any questions or would like me to address a certain topic, I'd love to hear from you. You can email me at info@theinspirationcloud.com. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.